Hello guys, welcome to today's webinar. I hope you're enjoying your days at home or like uh, whatever your current situation is. I guess everyone is at home right now and dealing with a strange situation that has come up worldwide level. And I guess it's the right moment to take advantage of people staying at home and try to maximize your online campaigns, especially now that most of those brands that are spending lots of budgets on native especially have retired their budget or either uh, paused their campaigns, and CPCs have gone to be less pricey than they used to be, like at least a week or two ago. And at the same time, some verticals and some products are really seeing a huge increase, like digital products, survival kits, and stuff like that. So today, again, like we usually do, we're going to talk about automation and optimization of the campaign process. It's basically uh, differently said, is basically translating all your daily routine tasks from minutes to hours into small and easy to create and to use automatic rules. So basically, the core thing about creating this rule is that you can easily think of the conditions or the situations where you're checking your statistics on your tracker or on your traffic source and trying to understand if a specific placement or publisher or site is currently generating any revenue or is at least showing any promising signs or not. And based on those statistics, you decide on whether to let this publisher or this ad running or not. And instead of doing that manually, and where when saying manually, I'm considering even the situation where you will have to manually aggregate statistics using spreadsheets from the traffic source and the tracker, which basically for me it has always been time consuming and error prone because I, I always ended up getting into some issues with the data I aggregated because I have always to keep present of the time zone of the traffic source as well as of the different variables and how to process data for each specific traffic source, especially when running multiple of them at the same time. So hopefully a tool like the optimizer does all this process by itself. Like you basically need to plug in your traffic source account, tracker account, and let the system do everything for you without having to worry what's the real cost, what's the click-through rate, what's the conversion rate, what's the actual EPC, and everything that goes behind your campaign in terms of optimization and the stuff that you can fine tune in order to get the desired results. As always, if you have any specific questions or if you want to, if you have any specific situations you would like to address using automatic rules or utilizing automation, just make sure to ask your questions here on Zoom, in the chat room, or on Facebook, or whatever works best for you, or either send us an email at support@theoptimizer.io, and we will, for the time being, while we're live, I will try to go uh, to your actual scenario right away, or if it's through our support channel, I will try to get back to you as soon as I can. Likely, I will get back to you in a matter of 1 or 2 hours, and with a solution to your actual need. So without further ado, let me start sharing my whole screen with you, where I can go to the optimizers page. So just a second. So here we are on the Optimizer native platform, which is the one that takes care of all major native ad networks like Taboola, Outbrain, RevContent, MGID, AdSkipper, Volume DSP, Yahoo Gemini, Run Native, Active Revenue, and so on and so forth. So basically, you have all the main native ad networks all in one place, and you can manage everything from here simply by utilizing or simply by translating your day-to-day optimization strategies into automatic rules without having to worry much about checking stats manually every time, every few minutes during the day, or taking care of blocking publishers, or changing beats, or even when it's needed to create a new campaign, especially on native, which is really troublesome to create ads individually, to create headlines individually, as well as when you're trying to split test two different headlines against two different images to see which one is performing better. It's way easier to do it from the optimizer rather than do it from the traffic source itself. So to give you a quick rundown of the optimizer interface for anyone that is already using it, it's pretty straightforward. In the dashboard, you will get by default the last 30 days of performance of all the connected traffic source accounts and campaigns all in one place, like overall cost, net profit, clicks, cost per acquisition, revenue, ROI, EPC, and stuff like that. You will have also a graphical interface to show you how the performance is changing throughout the time. And just let me get you some more data here so that for anyone that is not already using the optimizer can see it. So you know when the performance dropped, or when the performance dropped, when it increased, and stuff like that, without having to go back to the traffic source or to your tracker to see the overall overview of your campaign's performance. So it's simple as this. Also, you get the traffic source performance breakdown, so you know which traffic source is working for you, and you know where to put your efforts and budgets in order to maximize the profitability, as well as the top winning and top losing campaigns, in order to make sure that you are focusing on the campaigns that are bringing most of the profits for you, without having to waste much time on campaigns that are totally hopeless, without showing any signs of becoming profitable anytime soon. Sorry, guys. So when you first connect, for anyone who's just getting on board of the optimizer, when you first sign up for an account, you will get to the account wizard page, where you will be asked for your traffic source connection details, like let's say on RevContent or Taboola or AdSkipper or MGID, where you will have to put your API information for most of the traffic sources, as well as for some which have a different way on how their API works. You will need to simply enter your login credentials as you do them on their interface. It's pretty straightforward. You just enter a name for it, specify the time zone, the reporting time zone of your traffic source account, specify the currency your account is set up with, all the information details like API keys or login information, and hit save. And once you hit save on that, you move to the next step, where you're asked to add your tracking platform. And among all supported trackers, we do support all the mainstream ones, from Outsbridge, Binom, Bmob, Everflow, Funnelflux, Google Analytics, Kintura, RedTrack, Thrive, Volume, as well as the new version of Thrive Tracker, which is called Cloud Thrive, at least on our platform. And the good thing when working with click trackers and Google Analytics for your landing pages is that you can have them both integrated at the same time for the same campaign, and get the statistics from not only two sides, like the traffic source and the tracker, but you can get performance statistics from the traffic source, from the click tracker, as well as from Google Analytics at the same time under the same campaign. Even for the trackers, the process is pretty straightforward. You just enter a nickname for your tracker, enter the API keys, and any other details like visit timestamp, conversion registration timestamp, reporting, which is for volume, like visit timestamp or postback timestamp, as well as add any custom domains that you might be using with your trackers to work with your campaigns. Here as well, you hit save and move to the next step, where you're basically telling the system, out of all the traffic source configurations that are present on your tracker, the one that you connected on the first step belongs to this specific traffic source configuration found on our tracker, or on my tracker, or on your tracker. And here, the small thing you need to take note of, or to make sure that it was working as expected, is these 3 tokens here, or 4 tokens depending on the traffic source. Like, you need to make sure that these tracking parameters are present, because these are the main ones which are dynamically displayed in here, are the main ones that are used for each traffic source to match the data between the traffic source and the tracker. This way, you will have all your data in line, all matched up, all synced, and you will be able to build reliable rules to optimize your campaigns based on your day-to-day needs. Now, considering that everything is fine, we just hit finish, and we can move forward with creating or adding another integration. And in a matter of 10 to 15 minutes, all our campaigns should be available on our the Optimizer account. And like we do it here on the Optimizer native, we do the same on the Optimizer mobile, which is specifically focused on pop, redirect, and push traffic. And especially for you guys that run push traffic, I know that some sources offer the ability to create whitelist campaigns, which is unlikely to be available on most native traffic sources. But even though you might be running whitelist campaigns, let's say you're running whitelist campaigns on ZeroPark using a set of whitelist sources, it's not guaranteed that all targets or all publishers from those sources will perform equally and will give you the desired results. So even when running pop, redirect, or push traffic, having an automation system in place to take care of things being under control is still a win-win situation, because by the end of the day, considering the lowest price of the platforms, you will have a machine that's running, or which is taking actions on your behalf, on your campaigns, based on your instructions, for less than $3 a day, or $5 a day, or $6 a day, which applies to the native platform, which is basically a steal, because if we're considering the time that we're spending on aggregating data, on finding what's draining our budgets, and on what's ruining our campaign's performance, is definitely worth more than $3 a day, because we're trying to make at least 2 or 3 or preferably 4 figures a day of revenue to get some good ROI and to get some good profits out of our campaign, because it's not only the traffic that we are buying and the revenue that we're generating, but it's also the hard work and all the time that we put up onto managing our campaigns, including landing page hosting, tracking, and everything like that. Also, if you're running adult campaigns, we do have also X-Optimizer, which is another branch of the Optimizer family, and it's focused mainly on adult display traffic for anyone who runs adult display traffic. And it's the same interface, or it's the same workflow as we have it on the Optimizer native. It's just the coloring scheme that changes from one platform to another. But basically, it's the same in terms of functionality and how things work. Also, for anyone who's running or who's having a hard time managing landing pages, and I know a lot of guys have been struggling with getting their landing pages hosted on Amazon S3 or on a server, or even getting around with landing pages on how to clean them up or how to host them on a cost-effective way, and dealing with content delivery networks and speed related issues. I guess it's worth mentioning that it's no longer needed to worry that much about it. We just released the revised version, or the new design of LenderLab, which is our newest baby in the family. It's a landing page building tool, which practically allows you to go over the best buy tools like Perplexity, find the landing page that you're interested on using for your campaign, import it right away from a Plexity's interface without having to download it on your local storage, and edit it from LenderLab, as well as publish it on your tracker. So basically, it's a straightforward landing page building tool. It doesn't need to be rocket science to use landing pages for your campaigns. You only need a proven landing page. For anyone that's just starting out, you need to have the landing page clean out of all other affiliates links, like that could jeopardize, or that could risk the traffic coming from your campaigns to the landing page, which we currently offer like hundreds of ready-to-use landing pages for your campaigns right out of the box. So basically, you just need to sign up for an account, add your domains, select the landing pages, and boom, move straight forward with creating your campaigns, even pushing the landing page to your tracker. But I won't focus too much on LenderLab today, because we're planning to do a full rundown of LenderLab next week, including all the functionalities and all the features of LenderLab, including those that are currently under that our dev team is working at the moment. So by the end of next week, or by the beginning of next week, we will go into a full rundown on how to get started with LenderLab, and how to get your landing pages uploaded on your tracker, so that on your tracker you will need only to create the offer, create the campaign, select the landing page, and move straight forward with starting your traffic. So as I mentioned earlier, all the data are being aggregated into the optimizer platforms from the traffic source and the tracker. So you will get the campaign ID as reported by the traffic source. You will get the campaign name, their status, daily budgets, bids, number of clicks, average CPC, and stuff like that, all aggregated on the same platform in one interface, without having you to deal with spreadsheets and other time-consuming tools that will just waste time from your day, without assuring you 100% accuracy on those statistics. So this way, you will get on the same dashboard, you will get traffic source site clicks, like what is being reported by the traffic source, and tracker site clicks, what is being reported by the tracker in terms of campaign link visits, as well as you will get the landing page clicks, landing page click-through rate, total number of conversions, and if you're using volume tracker, you will get custom conversions as well reported in the optimizer. Or if you're using Google Analytics, you will get up to the first 5 conversion goals that you can set up on Google Analytics. And it could be, let's say, an add to cart as a custom goal. It could be, if you're running e-commerce, it could be a start checkout. It could be a lead registration. It could be a sale. It could be even an exit intent pop, or something else that you might want to track in order to maximize, or to properly track the value of the traffic that you are purchasing. Now here, as you get all the data on the campaign level, you will get the same details on the campaign sub-entities, which are sites and ads, generally speaking. Or if we're talking about RevContent, you will get the widget performance, ad performance, as well as targeted category performance. And if we're talking about Outbrain or whatever other traffic source, we will get a breakdown, but by all the elements that build up a campaign or are part of a specific campaign structure in the traffic source. We had all the statistics reported accurately on the campaign level. We do have them on the widget and content level, and as a matter of fact, I just have statistics for on my demo account, like more statistics for Taboola only. So I will base the explanation or the demo on Taboola statistics. So if you see here, you can get a quick breakdown of the performance by each widget in terms of net profit, which is the actual net profit, not the one that we're seeing on our tracker. So let's say on our tracker as a classic or as a traditional way of keeping up with your campaign's performance. Most affiliates then update the cost from the previous day on the tracker manually. Now you don't need to do that because that it's not 100% accurate, especially if we're going on a widget level. So we do have the cost on a widget level accurately reported as it is being reported by the traffic source, as well as have the net profit, which is one of the main, if not the main metric on our campaign's performance, the net profit that was brought by a specific publisher. So in this case, this Quizstars US publisher has spent so far $44.25, has generated $60.5 of revenue, which totals a net profit of $16.25. In this case, the optimizer will not show you the net profit that is being reported on your tracker by using your the cost that you have manually updated on your tracker, but it will show you on the tracker net the net profit, which is calculated based on the revenue pulled from your tracker and cost pulled by the traffic source. So you don't need to worry about the calculation. Same applies for the ROI, and same applies for the revenue and all the metrics as well, like cost per acquisition, EPC, and stuff like that. And in terms of EPC, which is something that I've seen most of our a major part of our users, especially in their first stage of starting to use the optimizer, get confused with, is the difference between tracker EPC, EPC, and traffic source EPC, which are three different metrics that differ a lot from how they are calculated. But I can tell you that the EPC metric here is the most accurate one because it's basically based on the revenue from that is pulled by your tracker based on the conversions that you have generated and the number of clicks reported by the traffic source. So we're taking in consideration here what we have paid and how many clicks we have paid for, and what is the revenue, the average revenue generated from these clicks or per click on what we've paid for. When we're considering, for instance, the tracker EPC, it's based on the revenue reported by the tracker, as well as campaign link clicks on your tracker, which, as a matter of fact, usually tend to be a bit higher. So you will end up getting a lower EPC, which is not realistic, and may interfere or may influence the way you are optimizing your campaigns. Now, having all the data aggregated accurately on a single dashboard, we have the options to assign specific rules to our campaigns, and we can have specific ones for one campaign or create one from scratch, which is applicable from this section here, which is applicable to the traffic source that our campaign is running from. We can add existing rules that we have previously created, or we can have or we can add to our campaigns rule groups that we have created while creating our rules. Now, I won't go into much details here because it's pretty self-explanatory. Let's say I'm adding these two rules like this, or I'm adding a rule group like this, and this will add two more rules which are part of the same group to my campaign, which is especially helpful when you want to deal with different stages of your campaign's optimization, like from the initial phase until the more stable phase, as well as the the stable one, which requires, let's say, minimal efforts on managing your campaign statistics or your campaign optimization process. Now, in the performance tab, we will get a breakdown of the performance, how it has changed graphically based on the clicks or conversions, or let's say cost and revenue, which has changed based on the bid changes, budget changes, or status changes of our campaign components, which could be widgets or contents, which is grouped by hours of the day, minutes, or even days. Also, under system activity, we will have the ability to see all the actions that have been applied or have been taken over our campaign from the optimizer, in order to make sure that we have control over everything. Now, it's not that we did this to just for transparency purposes, which is of course one of the main reasons, but it's also important for you to understand or to know what's happening with your campaigns, especially when you're just starting to learn affiliate marketing, or to learn media buying, or when you're used to get to stay on top of your campaigns and on top of your data, and are somehow some type of control freak when it comes to your campaigns. I've been there, so I wanted to personally wanted to have everything under control on my own, even though I wanted always to automate most of the stuff, without having to spend much time on that. So getting into the automatic rules, things are pretty straightforward. Like we have different options here, like we can automatically block or unblock publishers, and some of you may ask, like, why would I need to unblock a publisher when the statistics are being pulled every 10 minutes from the traffic source and the tracker, so I have all the data in almost real time reported on the same traffic source, on the same platform, so there's no need to unblock publishers once they have been blocked. But the thing is that since most of you are working with affiliate networks, it may happen that some conversions take some hours to be reported from time to time, or even days. So in that situation, when these conversions are not reported on time, it may happen that the conditions of a rule are true to block the publisher, but in a matter of 1 hour or 2 hours, the publisher becomes profitable based on a specific conversion or two, and then you might want to unblock it automatically, but you might want to do it as soon as possible. This way, a simple rule like unblock publisher if tracker ROI is greater than 0 will just do the trick. But let's say we want to block a publisher first, so we would start with the time period or the optimization data window that we are using for our campaigns. And when talking about optimization data, we're talking about how many days back from the current day we're going to see the performance of our campaign. And some of you may be optimizing based on the last 3 days. Some of you may be optimizing based on the last 7 days, 14 days, 13 days, even the lifetime of a campaign. And for these reasons, we have different options here. But we usually suggest starting with the last 3 days, 30 days in terms of blocking publishers, so that you can have a wider statistical window to evaluate about the publisher performance and kill anything that is hurting your ROI by the end of the day. So basically, you have different options here. So you can, as mentioned earlier, we have traffic source side statistics and tracker side statistics. So you can combine various statistics from the traffic source and the tracker in one rule without having any problem with that. Also, as I mentioned earlier, you can have Google Analytics statistics added to the same rule at the same time. But let's say from the tracker side, you can utilize the tracker clicks, which are basically the campaign link visits clicks, visits count, the tracker conversions, tracker revenue, landing page clicks, tracker earnings per click, landing page click-through rate, tracker conversion rate, net profit, ROI, cost per acquisition, as well as the EPC that I focused a bit earlier on, which is the revenue pulled from your tracker divided by the total number of clicks reported by the traffic source. While on the traffic source side, you can use the number of impressions for each of the traffic sources that report the impressions on the campaign publisher as well as ad level. You can utilize the traffic source click, number of clicks generated on different levels of the campaign for your ads. Traffic source conversions, revenue, and revenue in case you are reporting those back on the traffic source. The traffic source spend, which is the actual spend of a specific campaign, of a specific site or widget, or even an ad. The EPC, which is calculated based on the revenue that you are reporting back to the traffic source. Click-through rate on the ad level, conversion rate, net profit, ROI, cost per acquisition, average CPC, estimated spend, net profit, and ROI, which are especially useful for Taboola and Outbrain, which are known to have some delays, like from a few minutes to generally a few hours. So you can utilize all this data combined with traffic source data in terms of considered as conditions in a specific rule, as well as Google Analytics statistics, especially if you're running Google AdSense arbitrage campaigns, or you're tracking your e-commerce pages through Google Analytics. So to give you an example, a simple rule that I'm thinking of as straightforward is like you want to optimize on the publisher level or widget level based on the ad spend. So let's say you have an offer that pays out either $10 or $7.5 on a single conversion. So you want to block any publisher which after $15, 2 times the payout, hasn't generated any conversion. If this is one of the ways that you are optimizing your campaigns, the rule becomes pretty simple. Like if the spend on the traffic source is greater or equal to $15, and the conversions from the tracker are less or equal to 0, which means are 0, then you would want to block all the publishers from your campaign. And here we specify the campaign name. And you can have the system check every 10 minutes if these conditions are true for considering the performance of the last 30 days of all your campaign publishers. Now, of course, this is a pretty simple rule. It may be not the best approach in terms of optimizing your campaigns, especially when you're using landing pages. And landing pages, of course, have showed from various tests and various use cases that tend to generate the best results in terms of paid traffic when we're selling an offer, an affiliate offer, which could be a lead generation. It could be an e-commerce product that, as a matter of fact, will end up having a better conversion rate in terms of sales when advertised through a landing page rather than direct linking it from the ad to the product page of your product or of your store. So in that case, without having to spend $15 on each publisher and waiting for a conversion to happen, you have some other metrics like landing page clicks or landing page click-through rate that can help you optimize your campaigns at lower cost. In that case, what you want to do is that you want to use traffic source clicks. So let's say you're paying for as an average CPC, you're paying like 25 cents or maybe 45 cents a click, and after 20 clicks, which equals $9, you haven't received any landing page click. Those haven't received any conversion. So in this situation, you don't need to spend $15 to optimize your campaigns, but basically what you want to do is like to create a rule like this. So if clicks on the traffic source are greater or equal to 20, and landing page clicks are less or equal to 0, which in any case, when we have 0 landing page clicks, we won't have any conversions. but just to be safe, we're adding another condition like if tracker conversions are less or equal to 0 or equal to 0, then we want to block the publisher. So instead of waiting the publisher to spend $15 before making a decision to block it or not, we can estimate or benchmark the performance of a publisher based on our landing page clicks and block it without having to spend twice the amount or the same amount of ad spend that we were planning to do initially. Also, let's say that we have another situation where we know that we need to have at least a specific landing page click-through rate in order to get some positive results when considering the conversion rate of the offer, as well as the total number of, or as well as the average CPC of our campaign. So let's say we have an offer which converts at 10% from the landing page to the offer. So let's say 10% of all the clicks that have been going from the landing page to our offer tend to become conversions. So in the situations, after calculating back the data that or the baseline that we want to use for our campaigns, we see that we need to have at least a 10% landing page click-through rate, or at least 15% landing page click-through rate to even give a chance to a publisher to become profitable. So in that situation, we might want to use some other metrics like let's say 1 times the payout. So if the spend on the traffic source is let's say $7.5, which is the hypothetical payout of our offer that we are promoting, is if the spend on the traffic source is $7.5 or more, and the landing page click-through rate is less than 5% or 6% or even 10% without generating any conversions, then we decide to block the publisher, because we know, even though it may end up being a single conversion, we know that based on the ROI, which is another condition that we can have, like if the tracker ROI is less than minus 50%, which means minus 55 or minus 70% or so on and so forth. If the publisher just wastes our budget, then we want to block it without having to spend much time. So this is just a simple rule example of combining different metrics from one traffic source, from the traffic source and the tracker. When we're talking about contents or campaigns, but let's go over a campaign first. So let's say you start a new campaign and you're assigning that campaign a specific test budget. So let's say we're testing a specific campaign at a maximum of $1,500. So in that case, we're giving the campaign a run of 14 days, and we want to pause the campaign if after 14 days and $1,500 of ad spend, its overall ROI is less than minus 40%. So we've spent some money without even having a chance of turning that campaign profitable. So in that case, we want to pause it without having to think twice, because we have tens or even if not hundreds of campaigns, we can new campaigns that we can test and we can work with without having to waste all our efforts on a single campaign. So a rule like this will just make the trick without having you to go back and check the overall statistics and do the calculations manually, while you can have a machine do that for you and take care of pausing a losing campaign for you. Also, you can do it on a daily basis. So let's say on some days when the campaign is going extremely unprofitable. So let's say we want to pause a campaign if within today's performance it has spent $80 out of if the spend is greater or equal to 80% or 70% of our daily budget. Let's say we've given $100 of ad spend and we want to check at $70 of ad spend if the performance is okay and the ROI for the current day is less than minus 60%, then we want to block this campaign because we're just wasting money on this campaign. We don't want to keep it running anymore for today. So we can have a simple rule like this, so that we can save a campaign from a losing day and turn it back on the next day, and make sure that the campaign is or our budgets are being spent on profitable days, or whenever we get conversions. Also, another similar trick can be done with playing with the bids. So let's say we have a campaign which is performing or which is giving us on a daily basis at least a 10% ROI after some good optimizations. But from time to time, it happens that either the affiliate networks switches the offer on the back end, or the traffic just sucks for the day, and we end up losing a lot of money from that specific campaign without even having the chance of getting any conversions as usual. So one thing or one way, one optional way around this would be to use campaign bid rules, and there's a reason behind it. So let's say we want to change the bid of a campaign if today's performance sinks down to the limits or acceptable limits. So let's say if for today we have spent, again using the previous example, we have spent $70 out of 100, and the tracker ROI is less than minus 60%, or the net profit of the tracker is less than minus $50, which means minus 60 or minus 70, we want to set the bid at a specific dollar amount. So let's say our current bid is 35 cents. Then we want to set the bid immediately at 1 cent, or even lower on depending on what is the minimum allowed bid of the traffic source, which could be $0.003 in some cases. And by doing by dropping the bid to the minimum allowed bid for the network, or the minimum allowed bid or bid that we would like to give, is that we're telling the traffic source system that our campaign is not paused, so don't throttle the quality on our campaign and send it to another one. But we've just lowered the bid because we don't want to compete with the current set of traffic. But later on, we can increase the bid and become competitive again. This way, on some sources, from an average feedback from many of our users, it has resulted that the campaign was less penalized when pausing the campaign totally versus dropping the bid at the minimum allowed. So that small portion of traffic that you're keeping on buying for those few hours up to the next day is totally worth spending the money for against pausing the campaign totally. So again, here we specify the campaign that we want to apply this bid change to, and set the execution frequency at that specific time. Another use case would be where you would like to change the bids daily on several campaigns based on their actual performance, or the performance of the last few days or yesterday performance. So the conditions could be similar. It's just a matter of setting up the considering data from. So let's say if you're doing this type of optimizations based on yesterday's performance, you can select yesterday, or if you're doing it based on the last 3 days performance, including today, then you can select the last 3 days. So let's say you're setting the campaign level bid based on the actual EPC. So let's say if the conversions or if the tracker ROI, is between, let's say, 30 to 80%, which we're talking about ranges here. So if tracker ROI for the last 3 days is between 30 to 80%, and we're having and we want to become competitive or adopt the bids according to the actual ROI or the actual EPC of our campaign, we can set the bid to a specific dollar amount, let's say 45 cents, or we can set the bid based on the percentage of the EPC, let's say 75% of the EPC. So we are currently seeking to be or to get a steady 25% profit on our campaign based on its dynamics, or based on its actual performance changes over these last 3 days. Of course, we will have to set a minimum or maximum bid allowed. So let's say we're setting a 95-cent maximum bid and 25-cent minimum bid for our campaign, but yet we still need to consider the EPCs that we are using for our campaign. Also, I want to emphasize here the importance of EPC versus tracker EPC, which differs on how the actual EPC is calculated. Also, we can increase the bid by a specific dollar amount. So let's say we would like to increase the bid by 2 cents, or we would like to increase the bid on a percentage basis, let's say 10% based on the current bid, if we are within this range. Also, if we don't want these changes to happen this frequently, like every 10 minutes or 30 minutes, where we're ending up not understanding what bid change or what bid level has helped us on improving our campaign results, we can always schedule the execution frequency to be every 1 hour or every 2 hours or even every 3 hours, depending on our needs. Also, we can specify the time or the specific hour when we want these bid changes to happen. So let's say by adding an hour of the day condition, we are able to tell the system, or the rule, based on the specific time zone, let's say based on American New York time zone, or Pacific time zone, US Pacific time zone, at 9 or at 2 p.m. each day. I want to set these bids to 75% of my actual EPC, like this. So the trick here is to combine. Let me make some annotations here. The trick here is to combine one specific hour of the day with the rule execution frequency of every 1 hour, which means as soon as 2 p.m. US Pacific time zone kicks in and we have the execution frequency of every 1 hour, it means that at 2 p.m. the system will make the changes to set the bid to 75% of the EPC and not do the change anymore throughout the day. Also, we can have the changes happen twice a day, so we can easily select a second time, and we can use the same logic to we can use the same logic to depart our bids or to depart our bidding strategy for a specific campaign. Like we used to change bids on the campaign level, we can do the same on the site level whenever possible by the traffic source. Let's say we would like to change the bid on a Taboola site. So the logic that we apply here is the same. Also, we would like, sorry guys, we would like to change the bid on a specific ad on Outbrain or on MGID or AdsKeeper. We can use the same logic or the same conditions to play with the bids for Outbrain, MGID, as well as AdsKeeper. So having these conditions already explained, I'm not sure if there is any specific questions that you would like me, or specific examples that you would like me to go with the rules through. The same logic applies for the mobile platform, which is for pop, push, and redirect traffic. Depending on the traffic source and depending from the bidding model that is applied on specific pop, redirect, and push traffic sources, we can place our bids and we can have our rules executed as needed, or like we did for the native platform, as well as we can do the same on the Optimizer or the adult platform, which is focused on adult display traffic, which currently seems to be one of the booming go-to places for those persons who get bored at home because of the lockdown situation. And from a few statistics I've seen, Pornhub or other mainstream porn sites have had a spike in their traffic. So it's probably one of the best times of the year to try to monetize on adult your adult traffic or your adult offers, especially those video on demands or streaming offers or even gallery sites, whatever you are promoting, even dating through display adult sites, especially when you have the comfort on automating all the process through automatic rules like we did right now. Specific to the Optimizer native or the native platform is the smart lists option or feature, which allows you to dynamically or continuously collect poor performing publishers and block them or block them on several campaigns. So here we have a test list that has 100 widgets. Of course, this is not the conventional name for Taboola, it's for RevContent. So let's say we have been running a RevContent campaign from a lot of time, and we have collected some really bad publishers that we don't want to get traffic from anymore. So in that case, we have used these two automatic rules to add the publishers to this list. We can add the publishers manually. Say we are going to a specific RevContent campaign. We are going to a specific RevContent campaign, and we are getting the list of publishers from that RevContent campaign, and want to see the ones that are blocked. Let me get some data here first. So what I want to do here is that I want to view all the publishers that have been blocked, or let's say I'm blocking just a few random ones right now using bulk actions. And by selecting the publishers in here, I can copy them, go back to the smart list, and paste them like this. Also, once I have collected a pretty reliable list, or I'm collecting progressively the list using these 2 or 3 rules, I can assign this list to the specific campaigns so that I won't have to waste the same amount of money or waiting for the conditions to be true for one of the rules on all the campaigns, but I can have a publisher being tested once on one campaign and automatically blocked on all the other campaigns simultaneously. So this saves quite a lot of time and budgets, and helps you on improving your ROI. So this is basically profit, guaranteed profit, or guaranteed added ROI, especially for those poor performing publishers. So getting back to the other features is the campaign creation feature, which is pretty useful, and it allows you to create multiple campaigns at the same time. So let's say we want to create a Taboola or an Outbrain or a RevContent campaign, or whatever campaign you want to create, and we want to create separate campaigns for separate targeted devices. So let's say for RevContent, we are starting with a lead gen campaign on desktop. On desktop, and we can specify the scheduling start date. We can specify the bid. Let's say for desktop we want to start with 12 cents. We give it a daily budget of $100. Specify the targeted location. Let's say United Kingdom. Specify the targeted devices to be desktop only, and Windows and Macintosh, as well as remove UC browser or let's say Opera browser in case we don't want them, and we can specify the extended network traffic allowance or adblock traffic allowance, and here we can place the tracking code. So let's say it would look something like widget equals widget ID and section equals section ID, and so on and so forth. So basically, instead of placing the tracking code on the ad level, we place it on the campaign level. So whenever we have an issue with it, we can do the changes on the campaign level without having to send our campaigns for reapproval. Next, we can upload our images. So let's say we want to upload these images here, which are uploaded all at once, and we want to place the destination URL, let's say theoptimizer.io /campaign/1, and we here place the headline. So we say demo headline A, and if you see here, the system automatically generated all possible image and headline variations. Demo headline B. If we add another headline C, and so on and so forth, we can specify the site name here to be theoptimizer.io, and we can enter a specific bid level on the ad, bid on the ad level. So we can do it individually, or we can edit ads individually here, and we can add even headline tokens. So let's say we want to do city specific or region specific targeting, and we will add the region here. All right, it's not copying it. It will be region like this, and we are able to display the region dynamically. And then we move to the next step, where we're able to add the automatic rules to this campaign. So let's say we want to block low click-through rate creatives, and we want to unblock all profitable publishers that were blocked previously. Now we can add another campaign variation using the same images and the same headlines, but this time for mobile only, and we plan to use a different bid. So let's say we're starting from 32 cents a click, and if needed, we can add a different campaign link to this new campaign, and we can generate another variation for tablet only this time with again a different bid. So let's say we're bidding 25 cents on this with a different campaign URL, and maybe here we want to add some other rules. And in a matter of a few seconds or a few minutes, we have created multiple campaigns with multiple ads at the same time. Now, getting back to the ads, if we need to crop the ads or we need to focus to a specific part of the ad, we don't need to use Photoshop, but we can do it right away from the optimizer's interface without having to go back and forth with image editors or without having to change things or upload the images hundreds of times. So we can move forward and have all the campaigns published in one flow in just a matter of a few minutes. So, as I mentioned earlier, for the landing pages part, we have LenderLab, which is currently free, and you can sign up for an account and use it for free as long as the LenderLab is still on its beta period. And for any questions that you might have or any help that you might need, make sure to drop us an email at support@theoptimizer.io or at support@lenderlab.io, and let us know for any situations or any use cases you might want to handle using either the Optimizer native, the Optimizer mobile, Xoptimizer, which is for the adult traffic, or even for the landing pages when you want to have a specific landing page being cleaned up if you don't know how to clean up landing pages, which is something that requires some coding skills. And yeah, we can make it happen. So let me check a bit on what happens on the live Facebook streaming, if we have any specific questions right there, or on our Zoom room, if there is any questions. I guess there is not so far. However, for anything that or any question that you might have later on while using the optimizer, just make sure to drop us a message, and we will get back to you as soon as we can. Also, if you happen to have any issues with tracking, like you don't know how to handle a specific situation, or you're facing a specific scenario, like those CPC campaigns that the tracking is not on real time, just let us know, and we will try to get back to you with a solution, like an additional support in order to make things work for you without making it too complicated. And why not share our experience with you in order to make things better. Thank you for your time tonight, and I hope you've enjoyed our session today. Again, as I said, any questions that you might have, drop us a message at support@theoptimizer.io or support@lenderlab.io, and make sure to ask anything that you think is not clear on the platform, or that you're struggling to deal with. Even if you want to brainstorm about specific optimization strategies and stuff like that, we're there. Or you can find us on Skype at support with the same address or Skype handle, like support at Skype, support@theoptimizer.io. Thank you for your attention, guys, and wish you a really great week and successful week, and stay safe. Bye-bye.